respected Chairman Sir, respected Vice Chancellor Sir, officers of the University and dignitaries from across the countries, my dear friends. Myself, Dr. R.S. Grewal, basically I am a nutritionist, now working as a director livestock farm in Gadwasu. So I am presenting the way forward for management strategies for enhancing the productivity of dairy animals. Now, this management word is a very wide word. It encompasses all things, including nutrition, health management, animal comfort, shelter, and various other aspects. Now, in last lecture, there was a question that how we can compete with the European countries in terms of cost of production. In my opinion, I think it is the productivity of per animal which inhibits our competitiveness, which increases the cost of production. So if our productivity per animal is low, there will not be any other method to increase the competitiveness of our milk production, of our dairy industry. Now in world there are three types of dairy production systems. One is extensive system, one is intensive system. Extensive like New Zealand, like Australia, intensive like European countries. So they have different productivity levels and competitiveness, but unfortunately we have not zeroed upon that which is best system for us in our country. No doubt we are quite good in total milk production, but productivity is less. Over the years, the productivity of buffaloes, share of buffaloes is increasing, and the share of, decreasing, and cow increasing, which is basically due to crossbred cows. The productivity per animal in some states like Punjab, Haryana is good, Maharashtra, but it is still very less as compared to developed countries. Per lactation yield of 9,000, 10,000, various European countries, 12,000 in Israel, 11,000 in USA, but we are hovering around 3,000 in crossbred cow, 3,500, nothing. So how we can compete? So in brainstorming session held on 19th of June, there are certain issues raised in terms of management strategies to be adopted for increasing the productivity of dairy animals. Now, dairy farming is for-profit business. Management expert is expected to be expert on all these three things, 3 points I have enlisted. One is that we have neglected how to design and execute a greenfield commercial dairy farm. I think we have very less bandwidth in this in whole country. We should try to improve it. So implementing best practices in existing farm for maximum potential. So this is another expertise for a management expert. And the third is strategic intervention for small scale holding for increasing profit. So this is a part of overall management of the dairy system, not a main part. How we can help smallholders in the country. Although smallholders are decreasing, their number is decreasing. In Punjab it is decreasing at a very fast rate. Their share of milk production is decreasing at more fast rate than their absolute number. Now in the brainstorming session, the various issues raised, the most important was calf mortality and heifer growth or calf growth. So in nutrition, Dr. Hundar has also shown light on this. This is a very important aspect. This deals with the management also, nutrition also, overall dairy farming. In the expert group a few years back has analyzed that what percentage potential loss is there by various, you can say, shortcomings. They estimated that breeding and reproduction shortcomings causes 21% potential loss of the genetic potential of the animal. And health management and nutrition is responsible for balance 79% loss. And out of this 79%, about 67% is due to imbalanced feeding. So in previous lecture also, the imbalanced feeding is very, you can say, serious hindrance in the production system. So in calves also, it is mostly the feeding and management. So there is high mortality, especially in buffaloes, in peri-urban dairies, no male survives, everybody knows. So in this, to increase the calf survivability and increase the calf growth, we have to concentrate on colostrum feeding as early as possible, at least 3 liters of colostrum, so that necessary immunoglobulins, they enters in the body. So sometimes it needs to be fed forcefully also, but first 4 hours is very crucial, you all know. So 3 liter colostrum is a very important practice. Then next is we have to start calf starter at 7 days and good quality fodder only after 50 to 60 days. So this is, I think in Punjab, lot of farmers have adopted this, at least commercial farms, adopted this practice that they start feeding calf starter at 7 days and hay or good quality legume or C3 plants fodder in after 2 months of age, not before that. Because it is the concentrate which fosters the human development, not the fodder, which was the conventional wisdom. So there we need to rethink on that. So in addition to this, there has to be emphasis on deworming and vaccinations as per schedules. And for policy intervention, we need to create awareness and incentive for starter feeding. So like cooperatives, milk cooperatives, they can give some incentive on calf starter at least, because its consumption is very less quantity wise, but it gives very good result. So I have shown in the table that it is the propionic acid which is here, which is responsible for human development, which comes from the concentrate, not from the fodder, very less from the fodder. So it is a human wall picture of milk diet, milk plus roughage, milk plus concentrate. So in group where milk plus concentrate is given for first 2 months, human development is very fast as compared to other 2 groups. So for at least for first month, the calf should be kept in separate hutches to reduce the chance of diarrhea. Otherwise, if you put the calves in immediately in groups, there will be more chance of diarrhea, and diarrhea in initial stages delay the age at first calving, and also the potential milk production also. Now this slide is very important. If you see this curve, I have not given any unit on this. It is a deliberate thing to do. There is optimum growth rate for every breed of dairy heifer. This graph I have shown in some other presentations also. It is made for the HF heifers. So there I have given the unit also. For HF it is 800 gram here. At 800 gram from birth to first calving, the average growth rate, the milk production is maximum. If growth rate is less, milk production is low. If growth rate is more, milk production is low. So there is targeted growth rate for every breed of dairy heifer, but unfortunately we don't have any data for our indigenous breeds, for our buffalo, no targeted growth rate data for our breeds. So this is very important to generate this data, and this can be generated only through long-term studies, not 1 or 2 month studies. No, from birth to first lactation complete, only then we can have some data. What is the targeted growth rate for our buffaloes, for our indigenous cattle? So if during first 4 months the rate of growth of udder cells and body is same, but after that udder cells grow very fast, any deficiency during this stage causes impairment in number of cells in the udder. So it decreases the future milk production. So we have not given any emphasis or any side to this aspect, and that is why our breeding programs also is not that successful, I would say. So we have to generate the data on targeted growth rate of each breed. Now next, our issue was summer stress. All animals, they suffer from the summer stress, including buffaloes, including cattle, but much higher stress in HF crossbred cattle. Now this data, this is our own research in project towards climate resilient livestock production system in Punjab, which was done in Gadwasu. We found that for every 1 unit THA increase in buffalo, decrease in the milk production by 74 gram, and for each unit increase in THA in HF cause, decrease the milk production by 154 gram. And animals remains in stress for 6 months of the year, from almost 1st May up to end of October. Animal is under a stress where THA is more than 72. This is the climate data from Ludhiana unit of meteorological department. So this summer stress management is very, very important, and there is ways to implement this, but unfortunately we don't have any standardization for systems, for operation of systems, how much water spray is required, for how much duration is required, and in 24 hours how much operations of cooling is required. We don't have that data, standard data for our conditions as the Israelis have generated, as the southern states in USA has generated, but unfortunately our work is not that much. And also there is no incentive for installation of cooling system in sheds. So any government scheme of sheds or anything subsidy, there is no such thing for using this cooling system in the sheds. So for it is generally considered that 72 THA is a, you can say, upper limit beyond which the milk production decreases. But now high producing HF cows, this has been revised to a lower 68. That above 68 there is a decrease in milk production and other productive parameters, and in our conditions this 68 remains about 7 or 8 months above 68. So there is decrease in feed efficiency when animal is under heat stress. Now this is also a eye-opener. At least when I studied this was eye-opener for me. We tend to think that animals suffer heat stress during the hot period. But once the cold winter starts, the heat stress is eliminated, so animal will perform to its full potential. It is not the case. If animal suffer heat stress, its trajectory of production will be lower in winter also. If animal do not suffer heat stress, cooling system is there, so its trajectory will be higher. There will be always difference. So loss in milk production or economical loss during heat stress is the tip of iceberg. Real losses takes place after that. So cooling is very important, and fan is no cooling. Installing fans is no cooling. It don't alleviate any heat stress. So at Gadwasu we have installed systems, whatever standardization has taken place in our state, in our university, we have installed the holding area cooling system for buffaloes, for cows. We have installed cooling system for before AI, the animals are cooled, then AI is done in summer to increase the conception rate. So this is the feeding alley cooling system for cows. So this feeding alley cooling system sprays water for 1 minute, 45 seconds to 1 minute, followed by 9 to 10 minutes of fan. And this cycle goes on for 24 hours. Only then there is relief from the heat stress. We cannot relieve heat stress by bathing once or twice. It is not the way to reduce the heat stress. So in nutshell, summer management, evaporate cooling is the only answer, but water conservation is an issue. So either it has to be recycled in some way or can be used in field crops or fodder production. Shade to animal, if there is direct sunlight, then it is very dangerous. Then ventilation in old houses, closed, the ventilation is there, needs to be proper ventilation. So these are nutritional guidelines which I think Dr. Hundar has taken care of. So 45-second, recommendation is 45 seconds to 1 minute of wetting followed by 10 minutes of fans. And holding area cooling system is very important because that if animals stand there for more than 10 minutes, it is stressful for the animal. So this recommendation is followed in our state, in adjoining states. So it is up to knowledge, present knowledge, it is quite good. The next issue which was elucidated on the brainstorming session is milk litter problem in buffaloes. So it is you can say a genetic problem or hereditary problem because in buffaloes most of the milk is in alveoli, very little in system as opposed to the you can say cow which has significant in the cistern also, but in sheep and goat is more in cisternal milk. So to solve this problem, there is no clear-cut, you can say, direct solution. Only suckling is option, and now for last many years the milking machine for buffalo is separate, which do massage for milk latum and then start milking. For 1 minute there is massaging of udder by machine, and then there is you can say start of milking. Only we can solve this problem over the longer duration of time by you can say breed improvement or eliminating the buffaloes which are more prone to this problem from the breeding programs. And next is the short lactation in buffaloes. So many buffalo don't complete 305 days. So 250 to 60 days they get dried, even if pregnancy is early. And it has shown that the short lactation is there is some heritability to it. So if any character has good to moderate heritability, it can be easily solved by breeding programs. So repeatability is also there. So that means we have to incorporate this criteria in the selection of bulls. So any short lactation buffalo should not be used as bull mother. So this problem will be solved. And also if milk production increases, so normally any parameter which increase the milk production through breeding, it will increase the lactation length also. Then another issue was highlighted by our Honorable Vice Chancellor that male buffalo is very neglected area and almost more than 80-90% die in the field, and peri-urban 100% die out. I have done some calculations based on some very conservative you can say assumptions. In India there is 55 million adult buffaloes. Even if we assume that 2/3 calve annually, we have about 14.5 million males born each year, even after mortality. So there is lot of meat production potential. So presently we have 28,000 crore industry, buffalo meat industry, a huge industry. Although it is stagnating for last 3-4 years, rather 5-6 years, but still it is a huge industry. It has lot of potential to grow. A 25 unit male fattening unit, 25 male calf, can generate income of 10,000 rupees per month. So this assumption is based on 600 gram per day growth rate and 300 kg slaughter weight and dry matter rate price of rupees 15 per kg. very conservative assumptions are there. So intervention required. Presently there is no bank facility. Banks don't know that there is anything, an enterprise called male buffalo fattening. Okay, so this has to be incorporated into the incentive schemes of the banks through NABARD or something like that has to be done. And another thing is that we have to encourage the buffalo meat consumption by the population who consumes other meats. So there should not be any taboo on this. And also one policy initiative can be that private meat companies, we have quite big plants, 5 plants are in Punjab itself, in UP many plants are there. Those companies can be encouraged to take this buffalo male calf fattening or rearing under the corporate social responsibility scheme. Now, Indian government has recommended that every corporate has to spend some amount, I think it is 2%, something like that, of its turnover or profit on the social causes. So this can be a very good social cause, and also it will increase the, you can say, quality meat availability to the plant. So next very important aspect of management is shelter or housing. Housing is done for animal comfort, behavior expression, cost. It has to be cost effective, durable, ease of working or labor saving, protection from environment. This is just the BCA guidelines for a recommendation for various categories of the animals. Now in the university, we had well climate resilient sheds for small scale farmers, for 5 animals, for 10 animals. So these are constructed at community level also. So this model is very successful. So initiative or designs like these sheds, they can be used as a model template, and they can also be developed further for more, you can say, adaptability to climate change or animal comfort. So we have done some studies. It is very good for prevention of ticks, increasing the milk production. And they are constructed 150 animals, 150 sheds were constructed for 10 animal capacity, 150 sheds were constructed for 5 animal capacity in the field by State Dairy Development Department under the project. So this is very effective. We have insulated roof here. We have a fan with water spray with a timer for 10 animals and open and covered area. And it is cost effective also, 3.25 lakh for 10 animals here. And for larger dairies, we have models at Gadwasu which can be used as template. We have this shed for crossbred cattle, very comfortable during summer also, with the feeding alley cooling system with fans. We have a modern climate resilient shed for buffaloes with the automatic sensors for water spray and fan operation. At present, animal comfort or climate resilience is not part of any package. So we can recommend that government should include that animal comfort should be taken care of, or at least protection from heat stress if any subsidy to any design of shed is given in any state. Then last two or three slides are left, and another very important aspect is transition animal management. So 21 days before calving, 21 days after calving, the very crucial period, maximum diseases are in this period. So a lot of work has been done, a lot of improvements in field has taken place. Transition feed is sold by many manufacturers also. So this period management is important, but this period management is basically a nutritional intervention. Nutrition has direct impact on chance of ketosis, milk fever, fatty liver, which also reduces the mastitis, metritis and RP. So if transition period is management of feeding is good, then there will not be any problem in future lactation. So recommendation, start feeding close-up ration at least 21 days before calving. So there should be optimum BCS at 3 to 3.5 on the scale of 5. Prevention of ketosis, we can add glucogenic precursor like calcium propionate, propylene glycol. Low cost ketosis testing kits from milk should be developed to test the ketosis. Ketosis is a very big problem in buffaloes. Minimize the extent and duration of negative energy balance. Optimum rumen function should be there. Maximize the dry nutrient and cooling of animals. In cooling, this after the milking cows, the close-up cow is the second priority because they are also under heat stress. If you cool the cows during this late pregnancy, they will perform better in lactation. Then micronutrients are very important like zinc, copper, vitamin E, selenium. So bypass cooling, methionine as methyl donor. Dr. Hundal has also shown this. This is just a recommendation for ration for before calving, after calving. Awareness, what we can do under the field conditions, awareness of field staff of animal husbandry departments and farmers. So many animal husbandry department officials in the field are not aware of the guidelines or recommendation which has to be done during transition phase so that they can tell the farmers. So their awareness is also very important. And guidelines for transition feed sale, because BAS has guidelines for type 1, type 2, type 3 or maybe type 2 are only, earlier it was type 3, now type 2, but there is no guideline for transition feed and no category under transition feed. So this has to be included, that what transition feed should contain, what label it should contain, nutrient wise, how much nutrients or micronutrients it needs to contain to be called as a transition feed. So in transition feed, basically this negative decad is very important, cation-anion balance. So it is a, you can say, dumb thing that without negative decad there is no transition feed. So this can be done easily by ammonium chloride, magnesium chloride. So these salts are used and sulfates are also used. The next management point is that artificial intelligence or sensor-based farm management. These sensors are used in foreign countries for many years. They are being sold in India also. With these sensors, they measure the activity, rumination, eating time, resting time, and based on these, they give the signals of heat, of disease, or animal is about to be fall sick, or locomotion, something like that. So all those things are there, but they are very costly. So it needs to be indigenized. Some work has been done. IIT Ropar has done some work with the collaboration of Gurvasu. They have developed a sensor for rumination, activity, eating time, resting time. They have half the cost. It costs about rupees 5,000 per sensor, which is more than 10,000 for imported one. So it needs to be more validated in the field. This validation part is going on. So next stage of sensors is like milk conductivity, somatic cell count, milk fever, heat detection in robot milking. Those things are also has been produced in the world. So future is there and they will come into India with due course of time. So we should be ready for that, and we should develop industry for these sensors, manufacturing hub. So validation and improvement of indigenized systems are required for all these sensors. India has capability, but we need to look into this, how to do it. Then last is mastitis prevention. So mastitis can also be controlled to a large extent by sound management strategies. First is cleanliness of milking machine. So any farmer which adopts milking machine for the first time, he suffers this problem mastitis very, you can say, to a high degree. So with due course of time, he learns the process. So then it is solved. So this cleanliness has to be done by the cold water first, then hot water. The temperature should be more than 75 degrees with suitable cleanser. Then third with the cold water. So all this process has to be followed. Then monthly, this test, California mastitis test, and if possible, somatic cell count test can be done. Liners of machine has to be changed 2400 milkings or 6 months, whichever is earlier. Then vacuum pressure optimum, not more. Then post-milking T-tip is very important. Worker hygiene, cleaning of hands, of worker clothes, that can also be cause of infection. Disinfection of sheds by sodium hypochlorite or any suitable disinfectant at regular intervals. And for kacha floor, we can use plowing, weekly plowing by liming, by sprinkling of lime. Then nutrition is also important. Any increase in aflatoxin increases the chance of mastitis. Transition feed is important. For mastitis reduction, selenium and vitamin E, they need to be supplemented, zinc and copper. So all those things eliminate the mastitis. So in very well-managed farm, even if milk production is high, I have seen that mastitis is bare minimum. So even in small farms, mastitis can be high if management or feeding is not proper. So sound transition, management and feeding, milking machine and milking process, SOP needs to be developed and implemented strictly. Yes, this is the last slide. I think this is the waste management already taken place. So biogas under CSR and carbon credit, this can be done, encouraging new startups in animal waste management because this is the source of energy. This is the last cattle culling. Lot of unproductive cows and cattle, stray cattle. So Bos taurus, this solution can be that Bos taurus cannot be considered as holy cow. It is the indigenous breeds which are holy to us. So other things like encourage loose housing system. So all those things we have this mechanization part, TMR feeding. This has been discussed already. So this is all. Thank you.
Dr. Grewal, for a nice overview of the different aspects of a dairy farm, specifically at Gadwasu or at large in Punjab state. I can understand. Recently, the livestock management has completely changed its ramifications. Post-millennium, if you see, the dimensions of the management has changed towards technology, towards digitalization, towards the surveillance system. And looking to those, the thing which is coming to my mind is that how much we are able to trickle down those available resources to the common farmers. Not now, but pathway we can explore that how those technologies as you told, that they should be economized, user-friendly, and in that how we can interface, a good interface with the different disciplines that is required. I am taking this opportunity at this point to share with you that more and more we will make a strong interlinking with the diverse disciplines, maybe of technology people, maybe of philosophy people, maybe of social science people, maybe of climate people. Then we will able to find some of the good solutions for the common man. One thing. Second thing I will share, and then I will open the house, that presently G20 program is going on in India. What is everybody is knowing very well. And how much we are able to intersect or present ourselves to the science stream of the G20, because largely that is taken by the CSIR. And NAVS is a right body who can share some recommendations or some suggestions or for some incorporation of the livestock stream for formulating some of the good programs for the next coming decade for the third world countries or for the G20 countries, whatever it is. But we should make some of our presence through NAVS. That is my suggestion to NAVS, especially to Ravinder Sharma ji, to take up this issue. Okay, now house is open for discussion.
In army we say, I give you a pat on your back for a nice presentation. You talked about the colostrum, importance of the colostrum. And if there is no passive transfer of immunity from the mother to the calf, you may get never ill, joint ill, so many other things. Is there any study? There is a lot of literature available. Is there any study by Gadwasu in the organized forms regarding this passive transfer of immunity?
Yes, we have done study. Dr. Sikhtendra is here. Study is there. It is done at our farm, complete detailed study, failure to transfer passive immunity. That ST has taken place. I don't know its exact results. If you can, yes, if you can, Rashmi.
Please educate us about the
Yes.
complete failure
Yeah.
and say deficiency, maybe partial failure.
I can share with you there are two theses, two organized works, but in some the conclusions are that complete failure causes complete mortality. There is a high mortality when there is a failure, and one important recommendation was that it is not only that quantity of colostrum that you were discussing. Sometime in first covers there is a level of hemoglobin is less. That is also one of the common cause of passive transfer of failure. So it means quantity as well as quality of colostrum do matter, and time of feeding also matter. And if when the hemoglobin level, we can easily check in calves where hemoglobin level were normal, the mortality rate was significantly less.
I think in organized farms, I have seen Mr. Jakri is here. First test the quality of colostrum, then freeze it, then feed the frozen colostrum. Only the quality colostrum is frozen. No colostrum is fed directly. So that is the ideal procedure.
That means you
Cannot
have a
ship directly.
colostrum banks you have.
Colostrum quality is very, very important.
What important?
And
One thing I want to add, in 12 world, there is a custom that there is a probe in the farm. Whatever the extra colostrum is, that is put there, and some starter is added to it. It go on bedding into curd, and any calf can take it. So that's a very good way of utilizing the first 2-day colostrum also and supplying antibodies to the calf. That's a common practice in the 12 world, that they have a common probe in the first 2-day pill, they put in the probe and calves are roaming around it, and any calf can take it. One more thing that very well I want to add, you told that ketosis is more in buffalo, it is other way around in our clinics. We get a lot of cases for fatty cow or ketosis in cows as compared to buffalo. Buffalo is quite resistant, please correct it. As per legal data.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Presentation, but you have not mentioned about biosecurity. This is an important aspect of any animal management in present context. So I think in your recommendation you must include about biosecurity measures at produce farms or in the field. How could you develop an efficient system of biosecurity? And my second observation,
Health, there is another area, health.
but it's part of management.
Brainstorming
Must be largely for the poultry there.
The second
But
observation.
yes, this is an important point.
Yes,
Second observation, for prevention of mastitis, if you keep any milk animal standing for at least 15 minutes after milking, that will be an important procedure for preventing mastitis, because the closure of the sphincter will take at least 5 to 10 minutes. So if in that period you keep animals standing,
fresh feed immediately after milking. So animal keep standing for at least 30 minutes.
This is a routine practice
Yes.
followed at most of the farms.
Yes.
One thing, Chandan sir, important in context what Dr. Sharma discussed about biosecurity. Like, can we write something about supporting farmers in setting up biosecurity infrastructures at their farms? There are very poor farmers who cannot get this one, and many poorer we have discussed. So, but then if such recommendation can go and maybe it is accepted, because department also realizes that biosecurity is very, very crucial. And even at rural level, people cannot support. So just for supporting infrastructure and state, what funds they are giving to the state, and farmers for different purposes. Biosecurity infrastructure and installation, funding just can be mentioned.